do they also imitate animal markings?
The stamps themselves run the gamut from geometric patterns through to patterns where you could use them to make yourself look like an animal. The geometric side of the continuum is very interesting and still applicable to this idea that visions were so important, because one of the very first things that people see in altered states of consciousness is a parade of geometric patterns.
That's reported by?
Reported by modern shamans. For example, one that I worked with in Ecuador said to me, of course, I see spirals, I see zigzags. Those are the first things that the sacred realms give to you in a vision. And those can last, he said, for quite a while. So I think when we look at these geometric patterns on the body, they're not really meant to be decorative. They can at least refer to this sacredness of the geometry that appears first in the vision experience.
Now, I know you're not a scholar of pop culture, but I wonder what you think when you see people today wearing body adornments, having lots of piercings, using geometric pattern tattoos. Do you think there's any connection with any of these ancient American traditions?
I like the fact that people are being creative with the surface of their body, and that is more like ancient American or Amerindian culture. Anything that I think brings new sets of values from these indigenous cultures has a place in our society. But I don't know whether the sacred component has come through.
I was curious about that too. So I asked first at a local tattoo shop.
I'm the owner of Holy Mother Tattoo in Little Five Points. Tattoos for me are sacred. I've almost got all God forms in one form or another, which is like the ancient tattoo method. Also the way Tibetans believe that whatever you put a picture of on you, you're inviting to live in you.
I'm getting a tattoo for my 18th birthday. Yeah, so I designed it. It looks like it's kind of in the tribal style. It's become something that's not at all to do with any tribes anymore. It's just a term that's used in the tattoo world for a certain style.
And how would you define that style?
It's usually abstract. It's a lot about negative space.
And in a piercing shop, I met a woman with huge ear spools, which fit into the long, distended flesh of her earlobes. And how long did it take you to get the stretch?
I've been stretching for 15 years.
What's interesting in my teaching, I used to mention the librets that went through the face itself, or there's other things where they actually pulled a rope of thorns through their tongue in order to let blood, in order to give blood, which was considered to be a royal obligation amongst the ancient Maya. And I used to get from the audience, ooh, oh, a big reaction. I've noticed in the last 5 or so years, I don't get any reaction because people pierce their tongues now, and they pierce other parts of their body, and they act like the pain, is nothing.
Now, there's one pair of ear spools that I saw in the museum that are enormous.
Yes.
And they seem maybe more related to the high-status jewelry you were mentioning earlier.
Yes.
And there's a picture on them. I can tell it's a picture, but I couldn't quite tell what was going on.
These are gold. These are about 4 inches across in the front, and the post is almost 2 inches across in diameter, the part that went through your ear. So these are truly about the largest earrings that anyone can wear. It's gold sheet, so they're actually not that heavy. But you're right, it's a complicated picture. And what it has from the top down, there are 2 birds facing each other, sitting on top of a big sail from a boat or a big sunshade. There are 2 figures standing back to back on top of a raft, and they are being handed some small things from divers that are in the water. They're sort of shaped like little tulips, but what they represent is a spiny oyster shell. We call it a spondylus shell, and the lining of the spondylus shell is a beautiful bright orange-red color, and it was a highly prized material that occurred off the coast of what is now Ecuador. These earrings come from a culture called the Chimu, a big state that was important between 900 and 1400 AD. And the spondylus shell trade with Ecuador to the north was an important part of status in this society. So the person who wore these huge earrings was an extremely high-status person who we fully believe was in charge of the spondylus shell trade.
So, getting back to the question of body modification, I spoke to a couple of people at a local piercing shop.
My name is Gigi Gitz. We are at Colo Piercing in Atlanta, Georgia. I am one of the owners. What I hope for is that in this process, people get more in touch with themselves and kind of learn something a little deeper.
I think that a lot of this may come from the fact that people are uncomfortable with their bodies and they feel the need to change it. They're trying to transcend their bodies.
Well, it's a fascinating sort of contradiction because it's using your body to go beyond your body.
That's right.
Your skin is like the portal in a way, isn't it, between yourself and the world?
Yes, I think that's a great phrase, that it's a portal. Shamanism is walking through the portal to the other side.
Oh, great. Well, thank you, Rebecca. This has been a fascinating discussion.
Thank you.